Hi, I'm Andrea. I am a scientist turned stay-at-home mom, and today I am sharing all of the books that my son and I are going to be using for our preschool kitchen science unit with MESS. Now, I have an entire video about this, so I am going to jump right into the book list. Please pardon my voice. I'm getting over a nasty cold, but I got some book mail today, and I wanted to share this with you. So, I've kind of marked on here, it's not a very good system, but I am going to kind of talk you through what I ended up buying and what we are borrowing from our library. Anything I have bought off of ThriftBooks or we already owned. So for these first couple units, you are talking about solids, liquids, and gases. And so a lot of the books are repeated through here. I can't remember if I could not find Solids, Liquids, and Gases by Angela Royston, if it was out of stock on ThriftBooks, or if I just decided I did not like it, but I ended up deciding to substitute it with What is the World Made Of from the Let's Read and Find Out science series. But one of my strategies, if I am choosing what to buy or picking between several different books, is that I am always looking for series that I know and trust, and this is one of those series for me. Whenever I spot these at the thrift store, I snag them up. We probably have over a dozen of them at this point. And so I knew this would be a good one to add to our collection and that it would kind of cover that general information about states of matter for us. Then I did end up buying this Change It by Adrienne Mason as kind of another main book for us to talk about states of matter. This is one of 4 books in this primary physical science series, and I really like it. I think I am going to get the others. I could see us, the way this is formatted, maybe reading one of these pages and kind of talking about it each day as we work through these first couple weeks of the unit. Then What is a Scientist? I had purchased this one previously for our water unit. I don't know if every unit references this one or not, but I think it's a good little introduction to what does it mean to do science. And so we will read through this again. Then we have a bunch of repeats. Duck Soup, I did not end up deciding to get. And then this Purple Delicious Blackberry Jam. I mentioned before, I actually really wanted to get this one, but it was $40 on ThriftBooks, and I was just not going to pay that for a picture book. And so we are going to probably read another book called Jamboree, spelled Jamberry, by Jez Alborough, which I cannot locate at the moment, but we do have around here somewhere. Then for Bubbles, I decided not to get this one because I did get Pop, a book about bubbles. This is again from ThriftBooks, and it is again a Let's Read and Find Out science. So another one of those kind of easy choices for me when I see these 2 books. I know that this one is going to be a good fit for us, and so I don't really have to think about it. Then coming into Play-Doh, we have some fiction. I do really like that MESS includes fiction and some different types of reading in their book list. So you are really getting this kind of text set from them, which enables you to build vocabulary and ideas across a bunch of different domains. So Tallulah in the Kitchen, this is one I probably would have just substituted with some other book about cooking from our library. But this is a cat cooking pancakes, and we are cat people and we love to cook pancakes. It's one thing that my son and I consistently cook together, and so I thought this one would be really fun and cute for us, so I did buy this off ThriftBooks. This Why We Measure, again, I forget if I could not find this one when we did the water unit or if I just decided I didn't like it, but this time I decided to substitute it with Me and the Measure of Things by Joan Sweeney. So we also have Me on the Map, and I will probably add some of her other books to our collection at some point, and so I thought this was a good one to bring in, just kind of talking about why we measure, how do we measure, and all those sorts of good things that are important for science, but also for the kitchen and for life in general. We got Pancakes for Breakfast by Tommy DePaolo from our library. I always enjoy him, and this one is actually a wordless picture book, so I think it will be fun to talk through the story together and for my son to kind of be able to read it himself. These are repeats. For this one, so here, Gases by Robin Nelson. We could have gotten that one from ThriftBooks, but we already had 2 other books on states of matter, and so I decided that that one was not worth purchasing. Then here we have the Bread Experience, and so we did get this Bread Comes to Life book. This is what I would describe as a non-science, non-fiction book, again, that I enjoy that they include in this list. So we have lots of real photos and fairly simple text, just kind of telling you where bread comes from. I think you will really enjoy that. Walter the Baker we have on hold from our library, and I will pick it up later this week. Continuing the more general bread theme, I did get Blue Bowl Down, an Appalachian rhyme. We are from just outside of Appalachia, and so I thought this would be a good one to have. And it's all about kind of the ritual of a family making their own bread, letting it rise overnight, baking it in the morning, all from the perspective of the youngest child. And so I thought that was a neat one to add in. And then I also got The Only Way to Make Bread from our library. I just spotted this one on the shelf, and it's all about all the different ways that different families make bread. And it's basically saying that the only right way to make bread is the way that your family makes it. And there it is. And so I thought this was a nice kind of social studies element to bring in as well. Then they also have the pizza that we made, and I did end up deciding to purchase this one. I believe what happened with this one is that I had 7 ThriftBook deals in my cart, and if you're not familiar with the system, the more ThriftBook deals you have in your cart, the better the discount is. And once you hit 8 deals in your cart, you get 20% off every single one of those books. And so if I have more than a couple deals at any given time, I am trying to find a way to hit the next limit so that I can get a better discount. And I think that's what this one ended up being, but I'm not mad about it at all because it's really cute. And I think I've decided that the week that we do this, we are going to make regular bread, but I think we are also going to make homemade pizza. We've made pizza with store-bought crust before, but we have never made our own crust. So I think we are going to do that. And yeah, and the thing with the ThriftBook deals, being able to jump up to the next level, is that a lot of times the math works out that you basically get the next book for free. So I had 7 books in my cart, and by adding the 8th, I actually got one of them for free. So that was why I ended up doing that. So then to add to our pizza theme, I found some other books at our library, including Pizza, A Slice of History, Pizza by Frank Ash, and Pizza Pizza. I think this one is actually just a cute story of a little boy who is in a bad mood, and so his parents or his grandparents are pretending to turn him into a pizza to try to cheer him up. Then coming down to the Butter Week, we have a lot of repeats, and then Pancakes I own, but I have mislocated. I think what happened is these ones that I already owned, I set them aside at some point knowing we would need them for this unit, and now I have hidden them from myself. So that's life with ADHD, I suppose. If I have to, I'll borrow it from the library because it's one I know they carry. I've already talked about Pancakes for Breakfast, and then Bunny Cakes by Rosemary Wells. I did borrow this from the library. We are big fans of Max and Ruby around here, both the TV show and the books. So I know that he will enjoy this. And again, it's about making pancakes. So one of our favorite things. Coming into color mixing, there are 2 weeks and they have basically the same books. Mouse Paint is another one that we own, but is currently misplaced. Little Blue and Little Yellow, I borrowed from our library. We have actually already read this one before when we were playing preschool, but I thought it was really cute and don't mind reading it again. And I really like this author. And so then the only one that I ended up buying for this section is Warthog's Paint by Pamela Duncan Edwards. And honestly, the only reason I bought this one, I noticed there was another Warthog book later on, and then when I looked them both up on ThriftBooks, there was a 3rd book as well, and I am a bit of a sucker for a collection, so if I can get several books that go with each other versus just a bunch of standalones, I tend to prefer that. And so we have Warthog's Paint, which is another one about silly little animals mixing paint. Can never have too many of those. And last, we have the Popcorn Book by Tommy DePaola. Again, I always enjoy him. There are also always certain things I'm looking for on books, and when I see that Reading Rainbow mark, I know that it is probably a good selection. Now, this one, I do wish I had done my research a little more. I noticed on ThriftBooks that there was this cover, and then there is another kind of more modernized cover that has a blue background, and I assumed that it was just a reprint and that they had updated the cover for more modern sensibilities. But it turns out that they actually did a major revision on this book because some of the language in here, I don't think it is intentionally derogatory, but it's about Native American people, and there are some things in here that are not accurate, and it's also, again, the language is a little bit outdated. And so had a free book credit on ThriftBooks after I made this purchase, and so I have actually already ordered the newer version using that free credit. I think if we had to read this, just the two of us, I would probably just kind of talk about the pictures rather than reading it for those parts, but I think it will be nice to have the other one in hand, especially because my husband really loves popcorn. It is a favorite snack in our house, and so I think this is a fun book, and I'm looking forward to getting the more revised version that has been edited for accuracy and cultural sensitivity. Then we have Warthogs in the Kitchen. That was the other one I was telling you about. I like that this fits the theme of kitchen, but it is also a counting book. So the other one was a colors book. This is a counting book, and it also talks about measuring and things like that. So I think this is a good one. I'm glad I ended up getting this collection. I really like it. And then the third one that they had was Slop Goes the Soup, and this is an onomatopoeia book. And so I like that these three, again, kind of go with each other, and they all have a different little educational focus to go along with the story. So I did purchase this one off of ThriftBooks. And then a few more library books I got to kind of round out our collection. We have See What We Eat, a first book of healthy eating. So it kind of talks about where food comes from and what foods are good to eat. I think, you know, it never hurts to bring that in anytime you're talking about food and the kitchen. And then last, I found this book, Stop and Smell the Cookies. And then last, I found Stop and Smell the Cookies at our library. This is more of a social emotional skills book. It's about a little boy, Dash, who just sometimes gets ahead of himself, and he ends up doing things that he doesn't mean to do. And so his mom teaches him deep breathing by telling him to stop and smell the cookies so that he can kind of slow down and be in charge of his emotions rather than the other way around. And I thought it was kind of funny because we have been using this Choose Love movement practice of the brave breath, where you breathe in like you are smelling cookies, and then you breathe out like you are blowing bubbles. And in the book, he's blowing out candles, but it's very similar practice. And so having a way to reinforce that through this story, I think, is really helpful. So yeah, these are all the books that I have collected for our kitchen science unit. I believe there are about 25 books total, including the ones I don't have in front of me, and I purchased about 12 of them from ThriftBooks, so about half. But again, I have tried to really be intentional about which books I decided to purchase and add to our collection permanently. So let me know if you enjoyed looking through books with me like this, and I'll see you next time.